traffic that turns coming south on Wilson and turns at Kensington and Congress is unbelievable at 50 tons a day. So I'd be very interested in a traffic study as well, but I'd also wonder about a pedestrian study. If that's something that's been considered, that can be done as well, since much of this is being done for pedestrian safety.
Okay. I will close the subject and move on to public safety. Presentation by the Chief turn it over to Chair of the
So tonight, I'm sure all of us are aware that we have been in Parkville Village using Excel to notify residents whenever major crimes are happening in our community. Social media has also taken on a life of itself, and so there has been a few burglaries or robberies. The police department will tell me the right term, but that have happened in the last few months. There are concerned citizens and residents of the village that would like to discuss further and hear more on whether or not this is a trend. Is our trend in Shorewood crime going up? Is it going down? If it's going up, then how do we work together to prevent it? If it's going down, how do we continue that trend? And also, speaking with the chief of police, they are putting together a new technology, a web-based platform that will give you more information moving forward on the mappings of all the crimes that happen at this point going forward, so that you can see the cumulative effect. And so, with all of that information, we, as a village, believe that we could come together and hold a forum, which took the life of putting on a board meeting rather than a town hall meeting, and just have an open discussion, presentation from the chief on crime statistics and the new web-based platform for reporting crime, and also that if anyone from the audience wants to ask questions and discuss further on how we can work together, have that opportunity. So I'd like to just turn it over to the chief.
All right, thank you. So we have a little bit of PowerPoint, so you kind of got to turn back and forth.
We need to find a microphone. You can move the table over there if you like. Yeah, I don't have the
I'll move here in a second. So, if you go to the next slide, please. Okay, so kind of a couple topics that we're going to talk about today, and as most of you are aware, in mid-December there was a string of burglaries that we had in the area, in a pretty isolated area, kind of in a group, and we put together some consistent trends with those homes. A couple of them were vacant, were for sale. A couple of them were people were on vacation. And as most of you are registered on the Nixle, so you probably have gotten the alerts on those. And so we do have some progress. We'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about what we can do to prevent more crime. We have our neighborhood watch expert here in the front row, so he'll be here to answer some questions for you if you want to put together a neighborhood watch. We're going to talk a little bit about the 2016 crime report, and then in doing this, so we do this each year. We did it, I did this last year in about April or so. We kind of did a yearly report, and in that yearly report we gave the last decade of statistics. Today we're going to give you an interesting 40-year statistics, so you can kind of see where we've been and where we're headed. And then we're going to talk about a little bit how we communicate. Sorry, I don't have my back to. We're going to talk about kind of how we communicate with everybody now. And we have a really exciting, I think, and a very exciting thing that we're going to present tonight. It's called crimereports.com, and it's the wave of the future. I just, as I was sitting outside, I read an article. The Franklin Police Department is asking people to register their cameras with the police department. This allows you to register your cameras right online. We'll get into that at the end of the presentation, but it's a really exciting thing. You're going to get real-time crime information, and you can map your own crime. You'll be able to see everything right through crimereports.com. So it is the wave of the future. The good and the bad of it, right? Sometimes too much information can be overwhelming for some. But I think what we're going to do today is kind of set where we've been and where we're at today. And so when you do go visit that website, you do take a look at some of these things, you'll have a good perspective of where we've been, right? And you can say, okay, yes, we do have crime, there's no doubt about it, but how does that compare to where we've been, okay? And so I think you'll see some interesting things tonight when it comes to that. If you want to go to the next slide, please. I'm going to turn this over to Lieutenant Liebenthal here just in a second, but one of the things that I want to emphasize, and we're going to talk a lot about like numbers, statistics, percentages, and one of the problems when you do that is you tend to, it appears that we're minimizing a certain crime or a particular crime. But I want to make it very clear, if you're here or if you know somebody that's been a victim of a crime, whether it be a burglary, a robbery, I don't care what it is, I can give you any statistic that you want and it's not going to help, right? If your house is broken into, it's a very personal thing. Some people never get over it, and we understand that. So don't take for, while we give these numbers towards the middle of the presentation, that, you know, we're not minimizing. We understand the importance of each and every one of these crimes to the person that's a victim of that crime. And so, you know, when we have these, I personally take these, I take them personal now. You know, I get the text alerts. So when I get them, you know, it doesn't matter what time of night, my wife tells me to turn the phone off, but it will beep on my phone and I'll get the alert of whatever the crime might be. And it bothers me. I take it personally. I think the officers take it personally. And they're out there on the street, you know, trying to prevent this from happening. And so it's personal to all of us. So please don't, as we move forward with this presentation, that we're not minimizing that fact, right? Because that's not what this is intended to do. But we want to talk about, you know, we want to address the issue that has come up and that some have questions about. We want to put this all in perspective. So I think we have a perspective of where we are, where we're going, where we've been, how do we compare to 10 years ago, how do we compare to 20 years ago, and then what can we do to even be better, right? That's our goal. That's my goal, as my job, is to try to make us the safest community as I can. And so we're always looking for different ways to get there. And the crime reports, I think, is going to be a helpful tool, in addition to the traditional things that we do when we have such crimes like this. So I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Liebenthal. He works the second shift. He also is our uniform crime report. I'd classify him as an expert. But so he reports all the numbers, he collects all the data, and he reports that to the FBI and to the state. So he'll talk about that. But he also works second shift, and so he's very knowledgeable in these burglaries that we have. He also supervises Officer Catterlick, who is our crime prevention officer and our block watch go-to. And so we'll give you his Lieutenant Liebenthal's card at the end if you have questions or you want to start block watch. We can do that. But I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. You want me up here or down here?
As long as you're speaking towards the microphone.
Excellent. All right. Stay up there, then we can, it's easier for us to see the signs. Easier to see, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you don't mind me putting my water there, just need to sit here. Okay, good evening. As Chief Member said, I am Lieutenant Liebenthal, Tom Liebenthal. Work our early shift hours, usually 3 p.m. to 11 is when I'm generally here, although that's fluid at times. I work some different hours. As it has come up, we've had a little spike or a string of activity that has happened within the village that's criminal in nature, primarily burglary. And we want to talk a little bit about the similarities of what we found in the residential burglaries that have taken place. All the ones that were residential in nature, they all had a method of forced entry. Basically, someone forced their way into the residence while no one was there. Whether it be through a door, through a window, most of these were through a door. And they forced their way actually into the residence itself to get access to the residence to go and do further criminal activity, basically stealing property that was contained within the actual dwelling. Most of the stolen items were primarily jewelry, electronics, or cash. And would be the common trend amongst the ones that we had. We did have one incident where a vehicle was stolen out of the detached garage for the residents. They found a garage door opener, used that to gain access to the garage, found a set of keys for the vehicle inside the residence, and used the keys to take the vehicle. That actually helped our investigation in the fact that the vehicle was recovered and we were able to find some evidence inside the vehicle that led us to potential suspects, along with some other information that we gathered through canvassing the area, interviews of surrounding neighbors and businesses and whatnot, led us to some further information that helped narrow in our list of suspects. And we have a pretty good idea of who we think are involved in this, that we feel are involved in this, and now it's just a matter of putting all the dots of the puzzle together. A lot of this hinges on physical evidence that we have to wait back from the crime lab for to get the information back that we believe are associated with these individuals. And we are working with other jurisdictions, surrounding jurisdictions as well, because we feel that some of these individuals are involved in similar activities in surrounding jurisdictions. And so part of our effort is to share information with the other jurisdictions to help not only identify them, but also apprehend them, locate them, and apprehend them when we're able to make the arrest. Yes? I'm sorry?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
You say the breaking and entry into the houses have been through doors primarily. How do they do it, and what might we do to make our doors more secure?
Okay, well, as far as the primary method of entry, it seems to be just basically blunt force is what
Well, by
we're seeing.
breaking a window or bashing through the
Bashing
door?
through
or what?
the door. You know,
Bashing through the door.
that with even with deadbolt locks, if you hit a door hard enough in the right areas, you can compromise the door enough that you can get in. You know, and some of the things that you can do with the deadbolt locks, you know, some of the property owners that have rental properties within the village, they've told me in the past that they use extra long screws on the lock sets to make it more difficult for them to be able to be kicked in, kicked through. It's good for the lock sets, but if they're actually able to compromise through the door itself, that they may just break the door right off, you know, and keep the lock intact. It does really not much good at that point. But primarily, you know, it is a forced method of entry that they are using.
So the heavier the door, the better, but not much else to do, huh?
Well, the heavier the door, the better. There's other things, we're going to talk about other things that you can do to help minimize them even coming to your door. Even, you know, having them identify your house as a potential target.
Are these young kids that do this?
I can't really get into specifics on the individuals yet because it's still under investigation, so I can't really get in on
Do they
that.
live in Shorewood?
I'm sorry?
Do they live in Shorewood?
I think it would be safe to say that they're not residents. Okay? Let's leave it at that as far as that goes. Because unfortunately, there's certain activity or certain bits of information you can't share because we don't want to compromise the investigation. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do to help prevent your home from being a potential target of a residential burglary. One of the best things, you know, in the wintertime here, it starts to get dark a little bit earlier at night than they used to during the summer. And if you keep your home as well lit and keep up the appearance that someone's home, even if somebody is not, they're less likely to approach your house because they want to operate in secrecy. They don't want to have anybody identify them. They don't want to have anybody be able to point them out and say, yes, that's the person who came to my door. So the more light you have outside your house, the more likely they are not to approach you. One of the things we like to say is don't advertise your valuables that you may have inside your home. You know, and what we mean by that is, you know, during the daylight hours, with the windows, with the shades open and drapes open, walk around your house. Take a look inside your windows, see what you can see from the outside. If you can see items of high value, that's basically, you know, enticing to somebody who may want to come and try to break into your residence. That they'll look at that and they'll see items that they want to go in and try to obtain. So if there's things that you can see from the outside that might be enticing, you might want to consider relocating them to a different area of the house so that you can't see that. And make it a little less enticing for them to break in. If you buy high-end electronics or high-end items, don't leave the boxes visible out at the curb for, you know, for the garbage pickup. Because that's just advertising. We just bought the latest, greatest 4K, super high definition, largest screen television possible. Come get it. You know, you don't want to advertise what you might have inside your house. Another one seems to be probably common sense and pretty simple, is securing your doors and windows and activating your alarm system. But, you know, there's several instances where people don't secure their door, don't leave, you know,